Now, if there's one thing I've learned about justice in all these years, it's that it doesn't run on a schedule. 2 weeks ago, we helped grab accused killer Albert Turner, even before we aired his profile on our show. But for Sandra and Manuel Lopez, sadly, justice hasn't come that fast. We followed the story of this very brave and determined couple for nearly a year. And just this week, we joined them again as they marked a very somber event with a truly uplifting ceremony.
1, 2, 3.
It was a simply glorious day as a community and a family came together for a special celebration. But for Sandra and Manuel Lopez, the festivities were bittersweet.
I wanted to do something where the community could come out, we could gather, we could remember Alexia, we could celebrate her life.
This gathering honored Sandra's daughter, Alexia, a beautiful 2-year-old whose life ended violently and way too soon. On March 11, 2008, Sandra picked Alexia up after work at daycare. Bernie Figueroa, the daycare provider and an old family friend, told Sandra that Alexia had thrown up and was not feeling well.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Yes, she's having trouble.
Sandra saw that Alexia was having trouble breathing, so she drove her daughter to the hospital.
She's having trouble breathing.
I need her now, all right? Hold the bear.
You'll be back, baby. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, okay.
You're gonna be okay.
I need her now.
Be right
We need
here.
to go. We need to go.
You're gonna be okay, baby.
Manuel soon joined her, and as they waited anxiously for word from the doctors, their fears grew. As parents, they just knew something was seriously wrong with Alexia, but they had no idea how bad it really was.
Mr. and Mrs. Lopez, we need to talk.
The doctor said Sandra Alexia just passed away. We tried to resuscitate her, but her heart gave up.
But there'd be another shock. Police told Sandra and Manuel that their daughter showed signs of being abused.
You think we killed our daughter?
An autopsy would later show that Alexia had been struck in the abdomen with such force that her small intestine had ripped away from her large intestine. Alexia's death was now a murder investigation. Police had to question Sandra and Manuel, but quickly cleared them as suspects. The focus then shifted to the family's daycare provider and supposed friend, Bernie Figueroa. Cops brought her in for questioning. This is police video of the interview. She spoke only Spanish, but what investigators heard didn't add up in any language. Detectives spent the next few days building their case against Figueroa, but just as they were preparing to arrest her, she fled. The news devastated Sandra and Manuel.
I don't know if I was angry or if my sadness for losing my daughter was stronger. I remember telling my husband about it, and he was just more angry.
Alexia's murder and Figueroa's escape was too much for Manuel. He sank into a brooding funk. Manuel's simmering emotions would soon reach a boiling point.
Roll your window down. I need you to roll your window down. Why don't you and your department just catch real fugitives instead of messing with me, huh?
Sir, get back in the truck. I need your license and registration.
Or what, huh? It's not like you people can do anything.
Get back in your truck.
Hey, roll your window down.
This is Patrol Unit 976. I'm in pursuit of a black pickup truck. Southbound on Academy. I need a backup.
All of Manuel's anger came bursting out at speeds of almost 100 miles an hour. chase lasted 30 minutes. Police finally had to resort to gunfire to end it. Manuel spent a night in jail and was fined for his dangerous actions. It would take nearly 2 years before he could begin reeling in his emotions.
I was just angry at the time when all this was going on, but I learned to let it go. I wasn't being myself at the time. And now that I look at things different, I think I'm back to myself.
And as Manuel healed, he joined Sandra, who had channeled her sadness into fighting back. Together, they traveled to California and Texas border towns, talking about their daughter's murder and the woman who they believe took Alexia's life, Bernie Figueroa. Police think Figueroa crossed into Mexico and may try to sneak back into the U.S.
Prayers for Alexia, prayers for the Lopez family.
Alexia's tragic death and Sandra and Manuel's fight for justice have deeply touched their close-knit community in Brenham, Texas. That's why so many came together this past week on the 2nd anniversary of Alexia's death.
The loss of a child is something that you never get over. It's in your mind every day. You have good days and you have bad days, but it's always there in your heart.
There were tears, but also smiles. Because Alexia... Sandra, you're absolutely right. She's in heaven looking out for you, and your family is trying so hard to make sure she didn't die in vain. But I gotta say one thing personally, congratulations on the pregnancy. I think one of the things that helped Reve and I heal our broken hearts after Adam was murdered was the birth of our daughter, Megan. But justice is an important part of this equation, so let's focus in on Bernie Figueroa. She's a native Honduran. She speaks no English, and she doesn't drive. As you heard, cops believe she may have crossed the border into Mexico, but she still may be hiding in Texas or anywhere in the southwestern United States. So if you've seen this woman, you gotta leave your tip at our website, amw.com, or call our hotline, 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Later tonight, a bowling alley becomes a scene of terror.
Us, we didn't do nothing.
No! No!
But the kids?
Tonight, help us hunt down the monsters behind a massacre.
Murder and mayhem are the key words in tonight's All Points Bulletin. The Hoe Avenue Deli in the Bronx was a lively place and a popular hangout. Jessica Gonzalez was one of the regulars.
She was just like a very outgoing person, full of life.
It was here while shopping that she met Muammer Aldalam, who worked behind the counter. He was an immigrant from Yemen. She, a sassy Puerto Rican girl from the neighborhood.
She was a deli worker, he was a deli worker, and maybe that's how the friendship, began between them.
Their friendship blossomed into a relationship, but there were problems from the beginning. Aldalam was possessive.
She would let him know, I'm young, I like to go out, I like to party. I don't want to be held down right now.
In the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2007, Jessica drove to Aldalam's job at the deli to break off their relationship.
Mike came out, I guess, to confront Jessica.
There was a brief conversation with both of them right here inside the car. After a verbal argument, he produced a pistol and he shot her one time in the head.
Police say Aldalam then turned his gun on a friend of Jessica's, killing him too. Since the murders, Aldalam has been spotted in an Arab American community near Detroit and with Yemeni relatives in Utica, New York. He has a receding hairline and discolored teeth. He speaks English well, but with an accent. If you know where Muammer Aldalam is hiding out, call our hotline. This teenager, who we'll call Anna, hides her identity because she lives in fear of a man. The same man who should be protecting her, Pedro Fajardo, Anna's father. For years, cops say, Fajardo ran a disgusting business, smuggling humans from Mexico.
There would be like 12 people in the house. They would sleep in the living room, sometimes inside my room, in my sister's room.
And when Fajardo's family confronted him, Anna says he became abusive toward Bernardina, her mother.
And then my mom got mad. I have children here, and you know, what if I got raped? What if my sister got raped? Supposedly, my dad hated her.
Finally, Bernardina had enough. She and her kids packed up their belongings and moved out, but Fajardo refused to accept it. On the night of October 15, 2008, cops say he showed up at their doorstep in Duncanville, Texas. Before Bernardina opened the door, she handed Anna a cell phone.
She told me, just in case your dad hits me, please call the police, call them. And I was ready with my phone with 911 on it.
Unfortunately, Anna had to make that 911 call.
Hello, 911, do you have an emergency? My dad shot my mom. Please help me. Did you say your dad shot your mom?
Fajardo fled after the murder. He hasn't been seen since, but might still be in Texas. Police think he might be living with his girlfriend and her 2 sons. Fajardo uses the alias Tony O, is an avid soccer player, and loves nothing more than a cold Corona. If you know where this monster's hiding, call right now. When Tam Pham moved to San Diego to attend college, he thought he'd found the perfect place to live.
I feel really safe. It's home, sweet home.
Tam had 2 roommates, but they're not the people seen going in and out of his house in this security video. Cops say this is a home invasion crew. On October 17, 2008, they turned Tam's home sweet home into a prison, taking him and his roommates hostage. Then they sadistically threatened their lives.
I thought I'm gonna die.
Thankfully, Tam's torturers didn't carry through on their threat, but the nightmare was far from over. When the man and woman who owned the house walked in on the home invasion, they were ambushed. The attackers raped the woman, but when they left her alone for a moment, she managed to call 911, sending police racing to the scene.
I remember I said, oh God, I was really happy.
Cops immediately rounded up 2 suspects, but one member of the gang is still running free. Cops identify him as Tommy Nguyen, and they need your help to track him down. Nguyen is a pint-sized 5'2". He works in construction as a framer. He could be hiding out in California, Texas, or Mexico. If you know where Tommy Nguyen is hiding tonight, please call our hotline at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Coming up.
2 men came in and took my carefree childhood away from me.
A day of unspeakable terror, a horrible memory that will never fade. But you can help these survivors finally get some justice.
Believe me, crime survivors go through hell. They so often live with fear. Sometimes the guilt of why they survived and others didn't, and anger every day. And over the questions keep coming back. Why? Why did it happen? The survivors you're about to meet have had to live with those nagging feelings for almost 20 excruciating years. But tonight, we got to help them regain another very strong emotion: hope. 20 years have come and gone. But Ida Hojean's haunting memories linger every day.
It's still there. I mean, I think of it from when I wake up to when I go to sleep.
Her nightmare began February 10th, 1990. That morning, she headed to her job as a cook at Las Cruces Bowl in Las Cruces, New Mexico. 12-year-old Melissa, whose grandfather owned the bowling alley, spent her days running around the lanes with a friend. Her mother ran the popular business.
Ida, we're hungry. Please make us some enchiladas. I love your green enchiladas.
Oh, sweetie, I'm really busy right now. I mean, look at, we've set up for all those people that are coming for the tournament. Do you know what? I'll make something for you later, okay? I promise.
Let's get candy then. Gummy bears.
That morning, Melissa's and Ida's world would change forever.
2 men came in and took my carefree childhood away from me.
I felt something on the side, and I looked down. It was a gun. And he told me, come with me. This is the holdup.
They pulled their guns out, and they told me to go back to where I came from. And I did.
Mama, hold on a minute.
And that was in the office where my mom was doing the daily deposit.
Is that it?
And they told us all to get on the floor, put our heads down.
The robbers had what they came for, all of the bowling alley's money. And that's what makes what happened next so unexplainable.
We had our heads down, and I remember picking it up twice because I heard noise. When they shot me in the head, I thought my head exploded. It was so loud. I really thought my head exploded.
And I don't know why, but I put my hands on my head. And I think that's what saved my life. The bullets just skimmed my head. They didn't penetrate.
There would be even more unexplainable violence to come. At 8 a.m. that morning, the alley's mechanic, Steve Turan, showed up for work.
Where's Stephanie?
He had his 2 young daughters with him, 6-year-old Paula and 2-year-old Valerie.
Ida.
He had no idea what they were walking into.
God. No! No! No!
I didn't know who was alive or not. All I knew was I was bleeding and I needed help.
As the robbers fled with their take of $5,000, Melissa painfully hoisted herself up to a desk and called 911.
Please come to Las Cruces Bowl.
Please help me. How many people are hurt? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people are hurt? Yes, I think. The wounds in my head. It hurts.
Melissa's phone call saved her own life, her mother's, and Ida's. But nothing could be done to save Steve and his daughters, and Melissa's 13-year-old friend, Amy Hauser.
Why the kids? Us, well, I mean, we didn't do nothing to them either. We didn't do nothing. But the kids?
Melissa and Ida helped police create composites of the suspects. But over the past 20 years, no names have been attached to the faces. Faces that Melissa and Ida will never forget.
What are you?
As the case went cold, most other people's memories of it faded until just a few weeks ago.
Can I please have 2 tickets to The Nightmare in Las Cruces? Thank you.
That's when a new documentary about the 1990 murders started playing at a local theater.
This is something that had been percolating in my head for 20 years.
Lock it up and go on the picture?
Filmmaker Charlie Min first heard about the murder shortly after they occurred in 1990.
She looks towards her right, and when she goes to her right, the camera pans ever so slowly and stops.
At the time, he was a college student in Boston studying broadcast journalism. Those memories compelled him to make the documentary.
I was completely floored by what I saw. I was struck, I was angered, I was deeply saddened by the degree of unfairness, by the barbaric nature of how children were executed.
Charlie still carries that anger today.
We were all shot and hold up.
Now vented on film.
Melissa, please hurry.
Hey, Melissa, we've got him dispatched. How many people are hurt?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
At first, Ida and Melissa were opposed to the idea, but they began cooperating with Charlie when they realized he wasn't exploiting them. He was trying to help them tell their story.
She let us in. Everybody tells me, I mean, I knew that those people got shot, but they never knew how it affected us. And now they're learning all this by the movie. I still have fragments in my head, and I have to take 26 medications a day just to keep on going. I'm a whole different person. It changed my life.
Okay. Did you see who did it? No, sir. They told us all to get down. They shot me 5 times.
I've been living with this every day for six months, 24/7. So if people can just imagine, if I could just imagine what the victims' families have been going through for 20 years. So I just pray that somebody will come forward and help solve this case.
So do I. That's why we've aired this case multiple times. I'm praying tonight is the last time we have to tell the story, and that you can give us the answers that will put these cold-blooded killers away.
Please call. We have to know, like, right now. That would be the nicest thing.
You're right, Ida. It would be the nicest thing. And it might also be the bravest thing someone could do. But I don't see how anybody could see your story and not want to get you and Melissa justice. So here are some clues to help do just that. Cops really want everyone to take another look at these sketches. They made these at the time of the massacre, and these are age-enhanced versions. Think about people you knew, things you may have heard or seen back in 1990 when this horrible crime occurred. It's that kind of information that can crack this case at last. So if you can help, please, have the courage to make that call. 1-800-CRIME-TV. Tell us what you know, and I promise you can remain anonymous.
Up next, you'll find out why this former high school track star is now running from the law, and what makes him one of America's most wanted.
Like so many cities, Elizabeth, New Jersey is fighting a very serious drug war, and it's touched nearly every soul living there. Now you're going to meet two men who grew up in Elizabeth at about the same time. They lived just blocks apart, and they went to the same high school. That's where their similarities end. Vito Cola City became a cop, inspired to sweep the drug scourge off of his neighborhood streets. Lukman Abdullah took the opposite path. In 2003, authorities say Lukman Abdullah began establishing a drug empire in Elizabeth. With foot soldiers pounding the pavement for him, authorities say Abdullah moved more than $1 million worth of crack a month. A member of the Bloods, cops say Abdullah had the product, the network, and the buyers.
He did most of his business face-to-face. They would discuss quantities, who was getting what, who needed to pay up, who owed certain money.
Slow day, Willie?
Yeah, man. It's this economy. I'm telling you, it's going to pick up, though, man. It always does.
Authorities say Abdullah ruled with an iron fist. And his base of operations was an apartment in Newark, New Jersey. Everyone who worked for Abdullah was accountable to him 24/7, 365.
I want you to check in on Willie. Make sure everything's accounted for.
He's disciplined in his personal life. He doesn't smoke. He's not a drinker. He certainly doesn't use drugs.
If you need me, you know where I'll be.
And where you could often find Abdullah was inside an upscale restaurant directly across the street from New Jersey's Union County Courthouse.
Lukman was highly educated. He was adaptable. He was able to hold conversations with people from very different backgrounds.
I have to go up in front of Judge Ramsey in the morning. I heard he always goes for the max on sentencing.
But I heard that several of his decisions have been brought up on appeal. Is that right?
Even though Abdullah rubbed shoulders with lawyers and judges, cops say he was nothing but a ruthless street thug.
Staying busy?
What do you mean, man? Working 24/7 for you.
Yeah, okay. So you think a guy who stays as busy as you be pulling in more money, huh?
You know me, man.
Thing is, I ain't gonna know you much longer.
Yo, come on. Yo, why you doing this, man?
Because I can, Willie.
When cops tracked down Willie, Abdullah's thugs allegedly had just put 4 bullets in him.
Who did this to you, Willie?
All right, I was just doing my normal thing in front of the store.
Willie came clean, fingering Abdullah as the man behind the hit. Abdullah was taken into custody. But then, Willie suddenly developed a unique side effect to his gunshot wounds: amnesia.
Look, man, I know I said it was him that did it, but I made a mistake.
So now you're telling us that you have no idea who threw you in the trunk and shot you.
As a result, Abdullah pled guilty to a mere aggravated assault charge and served just 6 days in jail. In doing so, Abdullah's reputation on the street grew.
That particular event really skyrocketed him to a position of power because people sincerely feared him after that. During this investigation, one of his co-conspirators called him Mr. Not Guilty, and I think in his mind he must feel like that.
Abdullah's ability to work the system didn't sit well with Vito. So in 2008, Vito helped launch Operation Red Zone. Its sole purpose? Take down Abdullah and his crew. For months, Abdullah had no idea he was under relentless surveillance. Here he is, caught in the crosshairs of hidden police cameras. But Vito knew he needed more. He needed to get inside Abdullah's stash house so he could get the drug evidence that would finally bust Abdullah. On April 22nd, 2009, Vito and his team sprung into action. On the street, cops kept watch as Vito and another detective made entry into Abdullah's stash house.
We got in there by picking the lock. We couldn't have been a detective. We had to maintain the stash location as it was, as to not alert these guys. The whole kitchen was used as a drug lab to process and bag narcotics. There was powder all over the floor.
And these are the actual surveillance images taken that night by Vito and his partner.
There was utensils for the processing of drugs, scales, and we found actual product. We also found an AK-47 assault rifle. What are we gonna do about that?
We'll leave it for now. He can't know we were here.
Is that him? Someone just entered the building. His collar was up. I can't be certain if it was Abdullah or not.
If Vito thought he and his partner had made a clean getaway, he'd soon find out otherwise.
Trey, you leave after me? Nah. See how I locked up? Somebody was in here.
Who break in and leave 16 bricks at H?
It'll take some rocket scientists to figure this one out.
We got information that he knew exactly how the lock was turned, and that's what alerted him. He knew he left it a certain way, and it was different when he got back. We had to step it up. We knew what we had inside there, and we couldn't let that leave. Surveillance was on him, we were on his tail, and we were waiting for the opportunity to take him down.
Cops quickly got their break. Just 1 day after hitting the stash house, police pinpointed Abdullah's location at a mall in Edison, New Jersey.
Get him and whoever he's with as soon as he comes out. Am I clear? We cannot lose him. I'm on my way.
Yo, the beaches, I seen the beaches, sir. I seen them, sir. They're real good. Oh.
was very fast. He's a track star and a football player, so he kind of had the home field advantage.
While Abdullah would get away, he'd leave behind a key clue. Now, cops found a whole lot of new photos of their target on that cell phone that Abdullah dropped. Up to that point, cops were completely unaware of Abdullah's tattoos. You can see that he's basically sleeved on both arms from his wrist to his shoulders. And here's something else. When he was last seen, Abdullah had changed his appearance. He'd shaved his head, so he could look more like this right now. You can check out all our clues on Abdullah at our website, amw.com. And if you know him, you've seen him, you know anything about him, leave your tip online. If you're afraid, I guarantee you can remain anonymous. Just make that call. 1-800-CRIME-TV.
Coming up, an ex-con learns to walk the straight and narrow, but then he throws everyone a curve.
Hands the teller a note, places a package on the counter, says it's a bomb. I have a cell phone in my hand, I'm gonna detonate it if you don't give me the money.
Don't we all love success stories, especially when we get to root for an underdog who comes through against all odds? Well, Gary Littré was on his way to being just that kind of inspirational success. But as John Lieberman discovered, was is the key word to remember.
Gary Littré became infamous in Syracuse, New York, for a record-breaking robbery in 1989.
They hijacked the armored car, they beat the guards, and they made off with all that money.
How much money did they get away total?
I believe it was $2.9 million.
It was the biggest heist in the county's history, and Gary Littré did nothing to hide his newfound fortune. Blowing money on prostitutes, jewelry, and limos, showing off by throwing $100 bills out the window. The Odyssey took Littré and his accomplice up and down the eastern seaboard. Along the way, spending so recklessly that they left more than $600,000 under a bed in a roadside motel.
What could possess somebody to leave $600,000 in a cheap motel under a mattress?
If I recall correctly, I think they said that it was too heavy to carry out, so they just left it there.
But after 6 days, the joyride was over. Littré was picked up by cops in Virginia and eventually sentenced to 18 years in a federal prison.
How was he looked upon in the family?
As a lowlife, basically.
Gary Littré's niece, Amber Farley, had last seen the man she called Uncle Skip when she was 5 years old.
When I was 18 years old, he finally wrote to me after so many years and told me that I was always his favorite niece.
Littré claimed he'd learned his lesson and his days as a criminal were behind him. He blamed his past on drugs and alcohol, but insisted he'd straightened out.
I was ecstatic. I was very thrilled. I couldn't wait to see him. I was hoping that he would do good.
In 2007, Littré's prison time ended, and he ended up beneath this hallowed ceiling at a Franciscan ministry in Syracuse, where he found a job as a maintenance man. Brother Ed Falsey says Littré soon became a local success story, reaching out to at-risk youth in Syracuse.
He was giving talks in some of the grammar schools about drugs and alcohol.
And as he'd promised, Littré began to reconnect with his family, moving in with his niece Amber.
It was the best feeling in the world to know that somebody that I love is back into my life.
That was until October 2009 when Latrey abruptly disappeared, taking his niece's Hyundai Sonata with him.
How unbelievable is this? Like, how dirty can he be by stealing from his own niece, out of all people, the people that had helped him?
According to police, Latrey did more than just rob Amber's car. He's accused of also stealing these antique guns from her boyfriend's family, along with other items.
We find out that he stole an ATM card. We find out that he's used it at different locations.
But cops say the ATM cash would only go so far. So Gary Latrey started robbing banks. Here's surveillance footage from a bank in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Detectives say it shows Latrey at work using his signature MO.
Hands the teller a note, places a package on the counter, says it's a bomb. I have a cell phone in my hand, I'm gonna detonate it if you don't give me the money.
In a span of 3 months, cops say, Latrey hit banks and stores in New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, and Maryland. Acting so brazenly, he made no effort to hide his face. With Latrey on the run, investigators came to America's Most Wanted for help. While we were preparing his story for broadcast, we also posted his profile on AMW.com. That's where Marvin Eakles saw it.
I went to America's Most Wanted website, and he was right on the front page.
Marvin, a former Sunday school teacher, had gone to our website to help a friend, a woman who'd met a man known only as Gary at a bar in Buckhannon, West Virginia, and let him move into her home in the hills outside of town. Marvin felt there was an air of mystery about the newcomer. He apparently kept his last name a secret from his girlfriend and seemed overly protective of his car, a Hyundai Sonata. Even more puzzling were Gary's frequent trips out of town.
He would tell her that he was going to the bank, cashing a bond, and he would come back with a boatload of money every time.
Eventually, Gary's girlfriend became suspicious enough to go through his wallet. That's when she learned his true identity. It was Gary Latrey. Worried about what else he might be hiding, she turned to Marvin. It didn't take him long to find Latrey's profile on AMW.com. So, 4 days before our story on Gary Latrey was supposed to air, Marvin called the West Virginia State Police. Troopers rushed to the scene, catching Latrey by surprise, in bed.
Mr. Latrey made the comment, "You've located the person you're looking for. This is the biggest score you'll ever make in your career."
Did you know you were one of America's Most Wanted?
Not till recently.
And Latrey didn't change his attitude when cops brought him back to Syracuse last week to face justice again.
You still have the smile on your face? You don't feel bad at all, do you? You have a message for Amber, your niece that you betrayed? You have nothing to say to Amber, Gary.
Nothing to say to anyone.
All I can ask is why. But I'll never get those answers because I never want to speak to him again. He deserves everything that he gets, and I hope he rots in jail for it for the rest of his life.
Well, Amber, now that he's back behind bars, there's a real good chance that'll happen. And you're not the only one who's run out of goodwill for Latrey. And here's a very big thanks to our tipster Marvin for stepping up, looking out for his friend, and doing the right thing. That was a great capture. First responders know they may have to put their lives on the line every day. That day came for our fourth weekly AMW All-Star finalist, Houston police officer Richard Salter, when his team attempted to serve a narcotic search warrant.
I was the team leader and the point man that day. We breached the door to make entry into the residence.
The suspected drug dealer was waiting for them behind that door with a gun.
As soon as Rick stepped in the doorway, the suspect shot Rick.
All I saw was a bright light. The bullet hit me in my right cheek. It cut my carotid artery. That caused me eventually to have 2 strokes.
That bullet changed everything about Officer Salter's life.
It's affected my whole family. I can't do anything that I used to do.
Good job.
I'm getting better day by day.
Richard Salter's courage and bravery has earned him your votes to become a finalist in our All-Star contest. Voting for our next finalist closes tomorrow at midnight Eastern Time. Just log on to amw.com to nominate and vote for your favorite All-Star. In May, you'll decide which of our 8 finalists becomes the 2009 AMW All-Star Grand Prize winner. I'll meet the winner at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series All-Star Challenge in Charlotte, North Carolina. Vote now at amw.com. Make sure your hero gets the recognition an All-Star deserves. Thanks for watching. And until I see you right here next week, please stay safe, stay strong, and remember, you can make a difference.